Hello, people. How are you doing? Actually, I don't know if this is ideal. Let's see. Um, didn't get any better, but I'm gonna fix that. Is it any better? Um, no, not much better. Hello, everybody. Though I am Grandmaster Dennis Borosh, and you're watching the highest rated opening ever in chess. You guys will never guess which one it is. In fact, we're going to learn about it just a little bit, just to see what happened so far, some games, and then, thanks to our help, and thanks to some help, we're going to have it on the tournament section as it's on Lichess. This opening is now on Lichess. First, not yet. Oh. Hello there. Hello Casper. Hello Sir Dilly. Hello Arsen Arsakyan, Bob Dylan, Antonio Mirales. Wonder how to fix this lighting. It's just so annoying. Oh man. I guess it got somewhat better. Arsen Arsakyan, no ways, no studies for you. Not for you. How dare you? How dare you even suggest that? Outrageous. Outrageous. Ah, man. Ah, man. So tough. So tough. I'm kidding with you, Arsen Arsakyan. So, the highest rated opening. What could it be? What could it be? That is the big question. What could that be? Can anybody guess it? I'm actually thinking about the average rating. If you can do it, you're kidding as well. Good, good. Here's a little try for you guys. Wow, wow, you guys are on track, man. You're on track. Ah, man, like that. I love to see that. Normally, people are like slow and saying, "Yes, it's 6 a.m. in the morning. What could really go right here?" No. Did you guys actually hear that the US Open, the tennis US Open, is going to be behind closed doors? It's 3 p.m. Yeah, but in other places, in Australia, I guess, right? I guess Australia it might be early morning. Australia, local time. It's getting there. It's probably near midnight. Not quite there yet, but it's morning. Arsakian, it's morning. Uh, it's funny. So I created this poll for chat. What is the highest rated opening? And when they said the dragon variation, I don't know. Like, dragons are high rated creatures. But I don't know if they have a FIDE rating though. Or is that me? I can't really tell. Can't really tell. So anyways, in the US Open, I was starting to get into that little talk. What's fascinating that they actually want to hold that event behind closed doors. I don't know how big of a tennis fans you are, but that kind of doesn't feel like Wimbledon or US. It doesn't have that Grand Slam feel to it. It's like playing chess without clocks and seconds helping you out. So I'm like, wow. If it came down to name, not many lines will get a better one than the Dracula Frankenstein. Yeah, I don't even know where that came from. It makes zero sense. Why? I don't know. Like, it's like, I don't understand. I just don't get it. What is that? I can show you, Netcon. So, I'm gonna just randomly go somewhere. Studies. Let's go here. No, not here. What am I doing? Here, let's go here. Mass studies. Let's go here and e4, e5, knight c3 here. So this is, as you might all know, Yanetcon is called the Vienna because it is so stylish. And Jobava, Rapport Jobava won. Yay! Highest rated ever. Bishop c4. Now this would be like sort of an Italian mix. But black says, no, 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 no. And takes on e4. Point being, if you take, then there's a nasty surprise for white. And that is d5. Forking everybody. So white usually doesn't want this. Therefore, the Dracula awakens and goes to h5. In h5. Point is, you can't really jump around with your knight because you get maiden on f7. That is not good. Therefore, to play something clumsy like knight d6, it blocks this pawn. Yeah, side note, you can't play d5 because I have just too many guys attacking and only one defending. So I can just take and be super happy. And that's hanging. So knight d6, bishop b3, knight c6, knight b5. And this is called the Frankenstein because it leads to weird positions. Like you can't take because queen f7 is mate. And I think it's g6. Yep, it's g6. So it's going to get like a very funky position like g6 here. f5, queen d5. You're still threatening checkmate. So black has no choice but to defend it. And he has to give up the rook. But in return, this knight is trapped. Can't really get out. And all of white's pieces are still in the garage. So that is what's called the Dracula Frankenstein. If anyone can come up with a name, why is this Dracula Frankenstein? Be my guest, tell me, because I have no idea. Like, maybe when this queen rises, Draculina? Yowza? Yeah. Got to get me some water. Got to get me some water. This is kind of a funky line. I think someone just like the name Dracula came up with a new name and added another mythical monster as the name. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Anyways, as I promised, we're going to take a look at one of the awesomest games of the Rapport Jobava. We're going to start with this one. This one's played between Jobava and Lokwan Valley. Now, in fact, this whole line sort of became a family affair because both Rapport and Jobava played this religiously. And in fact, Rapport won one of the most critical games for this line. He beat Sutovsky at the Olympiad. Now, if you're not familiar with that, here's a link. I actually did a video on that for the St. Louis Chess Club. So I explain how it got born, this whole system. And I do believe this was a work between Rapport and Jobava. Now, the other thing that's interesting, it wasn't just those two. In fact, Rapport's wife played this opening. We're actually going to look at her game against none other than Chi Yu. You might remember who Chi Yu is. If you do, let me know. So anyways, what's fascinating that the Rapport Jobava is all the rage again. And I'll show you who even joined the bandwagon recently. Yeah, Qiu Zhao, yes. Knight c3, bishop f4, g6. So in the beginning years of this whole opening, there are too many adopted botes as Palam. You can't really say that. So in the early years, everybody was thinking that you can go g6 and the problem is solved. But it turns out not to be the case. And then they realized you should be playing either e6, c5 or c6, bishop f5. In any case, trying to avoid playing with the g6 way. By the way, c6, knight f3, bishop f5, e3, e6, knight e5, bishop e7. This one is a typical trick that is worth remembering. Normally you don't want to push the pawn. I am analyzing a game. Yes, Eb. Hello, Vertvich. So g4, you do bother that bishop on f5. And now it's sort of trapped. Go here, f3. Here, h4. And h5 is coming. And then there's really no place that this bishop can go. And normally in other lines, there would be some sort of counterplay, like pressure on this square. Like you would see this in a Karl Khan. But here, not really. You don't really get any counterplay there. You do have h5 or h6, but that kind of damages your structure. Like there's just too many weaknesses there. So here I'm always at odds what to do with white because the situation is just too good. Literally too good. Because if you play g5, that makes sense. However, whenever you do play g5, that pawn on g6 becomes a target. It's fixed. However, it does become closed in nature. So I often consider either going queen d3 and try to keep it open for my rooks. In fact, here maybe I could even consider taking. Actually taking there, still knight takes h5. However, it's kind of a dilemma because if you manage to attack those pawns, you're going to just win the game. So if you think that you find a win here, then I would open it up. If you can't, you can go for g5 and this will be a chronic weakness in the position. And in fact, I can go with e4 later on. Bishop d3 is also possible, of course. However, that is actually a little bit more passive. Because with queen d3, I do prepare to Castlelong in one go. And if you play bishop d3, you're actually not going in the right direction. Hello, Makoin Hero. So this is one of those tricks that's well worth remembering, and I can notch you up a lot of games. Now, there's a big difference, and I do have to and want to explain it to you. Takes here. You go this direction. The problem is you don't want to castle short because black does have some pressure on those pawns on h4 and g4. If anything, I wouldn't want to go that way. That's why I would prefer queen d3 to bishop d3. Any case, let's go back to the game between Jabava and Pawn Valley. G6, Queen D2. So let's stop right here for a second. Let's try to understand what is White going to play for. And if you're kind of new to this stream, I do have to tell you that yes, I provide you the lesson, but I really want you to think for yourself. Because chess is mostly problem solving, nothing else. Yes, you can hit the space bar like 2700s often do, which is not a bad thing. You definitely play some really good moves, what the computer suggests. However, that ends at some moment, and then you've got to use that big boy up there. And if you can't use that big boy up there, you're going to end up like everybody else behind Carlsen, because Carlsen is the one that can play chess and the others not as well as he does. Kishan Sarkar, thank you for the follow. Kasper saying, in similar structures, it's typically a kingside attack after closing the center for me. But there are some tricks on the queen side as well. So flanking, what do you mean by flanking? I'm not sure I get you. Hello, Fred Kamaru. In fact, I might give you guys some options. So I've had many biology exams in my life. So if you're unhappy to see all of the above, then congratulations. That's how university works. You get to answer the question, and if you don't know the answer, then it's gone. You're out. Hello, Noob Study. So you're trying to figure out what to do here with White. So far, attack the king is leading. Fred Camaro, as you can see in the title, the highest rated opening. So not the London, of course. This is obviously the Rapport-Jobava variation. Now, I mean, the London is the sister of this variation, but not quite the same, because usually you don't see the knight on c3 in those cases. You didn't pay attention to the main part of the screen? That's you know, that's kind of a newcomer's mistake. Always read the title first. That's what they told me whenever I had to do some essays. Always read the title. Is this the Rapport-Jobava? Yes. Let's see, how's it going? So tag the king is leading, all of the above is close second. Lagging behind but tied is attack the center and gain the outpost. Still a bit of time, all of the above is gaining some momentum. 4 votes to 5 right now, 4 votes to 5, and it's still dead heat at the bottom. What will happen? Will there be a sudden takeoff? Will attack the king win? Will the attack the king is tied with all of the above? And a draw. Typical. A draw had happened. I don't even know what that means though. What the heck does that mean? What do you guys mean by that? I don't get it. I do not get it. So, any case, white does want to Castlelong. Well, if you castle, there's bishop h6. You just wanted to vote for all of the above? Yeah, so the king is not castled yet. However, you do want to get rid of that bishop. So whoever went for attack the king, you are not wrong. Because if the castle goes short, this idea of bishop h6, h4, h5 becomes a monstrous idea. I'm going to give you an example. Let's say if black goes a6 on castles, bishop g7, you go bishop h6 because there are more weaknesses on the king side than in the middle. You can try f3, e4, but black's original plan was to break there and just open it up for this bishop. And if that happens first, you're in trouble. Therefore, bishop h6 here is a really good move. Castles? Now here comes the big move, people. Let's make the big move. Sha-la-la-la-la. Obviously, we're gonna run with h4, c5, and we actually slowly have this idea of h5. And if knight h5, kaboom, baby! Kaboom, baby! Because there's queen g5 and it's checkmate. It's not at all that simple to defend. So this idea of playing bishop h6, h4, h5 is very powerful. Thank you for the follow, noob study. Now, why don't you take on g7 early? Because when you take here, black gets the option to move and run away with the king. However, if you play h5 now, you keep the tension and you keep the alternative of retaining the bishop as an alternative. And this is one of those typical tricks that you should remember. Also note there's no takes because rook takes h6, white is just up a piece. So the highest rated opening, thank you Benchstone for asking, and now I'm going to explain it to you guys. While we revel in the glory of this rook h5, gh, queen g5. So there's a certain grandmaster with a rating of 2760 and a player who used to be 2734. Can anybody guess those names? So, currently, the highest rating of Rapport is 2760. And if you add it up and do the average with Jobava, that's quite a high rated opening. 2760 plus a 2734. That's just out of this world. Anyways, let's continue with this game between Jobava and Von Valley. Bishop g7, bishop h6. So he's not wasting time. Castles, and oftentimes here, you do not even want to castle. You just want to go h4 and h5. because the mate is incoming. So takes c5. But now this is somewhat different towards the position that we've been looking at. Can anybody spot the difference? What's the difference between this position and the position that we observed before? The king is still stuck in the center. It couldn't castle. Now, is it a positive or a negative? And it actually depends on your perspective, but it really depends. Now, the king won't be checkmated on a king side, so that's a positive for black. Yeah, no castling, then it's not safe. True. e3. So it's just making sure that there's always a pawn in the center. And one of the things that people forget, even though this is sort of a sideline, chess principles do apply. Just like gravity in life. Even if you're at the most remote place on this planet, gravity still applies. This is the rapport Jabava, not the main line of the main lines. Gravity still applies. Chess principles apply. So why is e3 such a great move? It gets an exclamation mark from me because it is according to the chess principles. Hooray for chess principles. It defends the center. Okay? Opens the bishop, reinforces the center. Yeah. So the point is, if you castle, you lose the center control. Black has more guys there, and likely you're going to face some drama. But after Jabava's e3, the situation is good, because if takes, the situation is even in the middle, but the black king is going to be stuck while white is going to be able to castle. Arushuk, how are ya? So e3 is a hooray for chess principles moment. Everybody celebrate with emotes. Let's celebrate good chess principled game. Bloggy bishop? I don't think so. Knight c6. Long Castellino. C takes d4. Now, in fact, c takes d4 is a mistake. Why is c takes d4 a mistake? I'll tell ya. The reason c takes d4 is not great because your king is in the middle. There's no open files at the moment, but after c takes d4, congratulations, you're gonna get mated. Because that file is just something that Bahadur is wishing to use. Hello, Greta. Probably bishop f5 would have been better, just keeping it closed and hoping to castle long. Note that white does not really have any threats on the e file because that e pawn is in the way. C takes d4, e takes d4. Won't win any Oscars, not this year at least. In d6, f3. Just taking away the e4 and g4 squares, so no funny business from Lok Van Veli's knight, which is good. Hello, Angel de Soar. Hello, Rocky Mountain. e6, knight e2. And again, principles 101. You get the center, you bring out your pieces. Now, we've done 1 and we've done 2. We've got castle and have the pieces out. But what will be our main target in this position? The king. The d5 pawn. e4 square? How would you use that, Honeyshburger? You can't really use it. We're actually blocking it and taking away for black, so that's a good thing. But by in itself, it's more of a defensive idea than anything else. And if you answer the question that I posted you on the poll, I do want you to come up with an idea how to continue. Because it's one thing to have a strategy, but you actually have to execute it. Hello, Mactor Exodus. How are you doing? They're just staring and reveling in the beauty of the rapport Jabava. And this was one of Jabava's wonderful, wonderful games. So knight f4 is an idea, yeah? How else can we be and get aggressive? Brian the rabbit, the rook wants to come to e1, I think. I like it. You guys are going in the right direction. More brainstorming, the better player you get. I'm not kidding here. Yes, people say, no, you read a book, you read Dvoretsky like 50 times, you sweat, you don't even go gym, you just read this book. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Okay, if you're no good with that, then you're bad. But that's not good. Better is to come and brainstorm ideas. Queen g7 doesn't win pawn. Queen g7, interesting idea. By the way, main target the king did win. Only merely by 1 point. Oh my goodness. Good principles blocking c-pawn with knight. Sir Bradley Bloom, you've got a point, but you're not quite correct. Why? Eventually, this pony is going to put immense pressure on the d5 pawn. So, it is give and take. You do get that benefit of putting pressure. But, you know, it can get worse. Really can't get worse. Anyways, okay, so you guys considered playing g4, knight f4. Now, we won't put pressure on king, correct? Very good. Now, queen g7 was an idea. Let's say here, queen g7. There are many problems with queen g7. Your queen is easy target, because rook g8, put pressure queen, you've got to go back, and then you were stupid. You put queen back, what were you doing? Now Lokvan Veli, senator of Deutschland, is gonna castle. And then you're good, there's nothing going on, you're screwed. Nothing good's gonna happen. So queen g7 is not as good. But I was very, very proud of you guys suggesting knight f4 and suggesting g4. Even g4, g5. The only problem is though, if you go g4, castle, g5, knight h5, same trouble, queen is in cornered and then you're not having a good position. Right? Not a good position. Think it's bad. Anyways, let's go back. So, we do want to play against the king and the d5 pawn. So knight f4, g4 was brilliant. I think it was perfect. So knight e2, bishop d7, king b1. King b1 is a typical move you'd never make if you say, hey, why did I play king b1? Can anybody tell me where this king b1 move belongs from? Which opening is associated with king b1? And I'm not gonna let you guys loose on this one. You've got to know this. This is part of chess history and being an educated chess player. Even if this is your first time watching chess, you've got to know where this is from. This is part of your legacy as a future big chess player. And you're going to tell your children, your children's children, and as a grandpa, you're going to say, you remember that lecture with Grandmaster Dennis Borosh teaching you about King B1? That was the first time I learned. See, that's what you want to do. So I want you guys to remember and know. While you guys try to figure it out, King B1. His main idea is whenever there's a rook showing up on the C file, it won't be a check because the king has slided over and is just chilling like it should. Let me see what you guys wrote. Ooh, I see. Dutch, said Honeyschburger. Try again. Oh, no dark square bishop, so why king b1? So Fred Kamaru, the reason is you don't want to be on the c file, and oftentimes black can sacrifice the exchange. So I'm gonna even give you some lines. Let's say white is just noobing around a little bit. Here, boom. This is a typical exchange sacrifice from some certain line, which I'm not gonna name yet because that would spoil the fun. Queen a3 is, guess what? A check. King b1, queen takes c3, and black gets plenty of counterplay. Probably you can still go king d2, but you get what I'm saying. You do run into plenty of counterplay if your king is on c1. However, if the king is on b1, even in this case, takes, you can't win time with these checks. You can just drop back and defend the c pawn and be just chilling. That is the reason why king b1 is such a nice move. In chess lingo, prophylactic move. Siciliansky, exactly. This is a typical Sicilian sacrifice. So, king b1 is a Sicilian move. In fact, one of my games that I showed you guys a few days ago has shown you that even I played king b1 because king b1 is so good, you've got to play it. Enigma saying, thanks for the knowledge, Mr. GM. You're welcome, Mr. Enigma. So, let us continue. So rook c8, knight c1. Now you could have gone knight f4, but knight c1 is the other typical move over defending all of those pieces. Now, some of you don't know, but I do have to give you the proper credit that knight c1 was invented by one of the best players in the 70s. And his name is not Bobby Fischer. I mean, Bobby Fischer became the world champion, but before him, he had a predecessor. And he's called the Great Dane. and it's not Peter Heine Nielsen. Sadly, because he's also a great Dane, a big one, and a good one, but it is indeed Bent Larsen. So Bent Larsen's idea was whenever you get a knight on c1 or f8, chess is somewhat similar, there's no checkmate. Knight on f8, no checkmate. Now it's very important. This is important information because oftentimes I see beginners thinking, will I get checkmated? And you know, if you have this knowledge of history, you just say, no. Bent Larsen once told me, knight is on c1, no checkmate. Knight is on f8, no checkmate. And oftentimes, 90% of the times, he's right. Because he was a computer, the first human computer. That's not true, by the way. But he's famous for pushing his h-pawns. Before computers and everybody who claimed that h4, h5 is a brilliant idea, Bent Larsen was the one who said, yo man, h4, h5 is cool. So whoever says h4, h5 is invented by the computer, then tell them, maybe, but Bent Larsen played it in the 70s. So if you can quote from a computers from the 70s, you win. But if not, joke's on you, Bent Larsen was first. In fact, I think I did a video on it too. Man, I'm searching on this one. The Tale of the Legendary Pawn. That's a title. That is the title of it all. Anyways, so knight c1 is vintage Bent Larsen. Saying, yo, if I have my knight on c1, I'm not going to get mated. But, on the other hand, Lokwanveli will still try. Because Lokwanveli, as we all know, is the best tryhard on this planet. He played like 50 games against Rajabov in the King's Indian, and I don't think any of them really ended in a draw. Nah, I'm kind of pushing it there. But they were trying to fight really hard. Krishna is saying, if Bent Larsen and Matt Larsen played as a team, it'll be h4, g4, kingside pawn storm. See? That's what I'm talking about. Anyways, Bent Larsen played this, knight a5, knight b3. Just covering up the queen side. Knight b3, a takes b3. Now I know you're shocked. You're wondering, yo, didn't you tell me that we're going to attack the king on e8? Didn't you tell me that we're going to go knight f4, attack, and boom, boom, boom? Yes, I did tell you that. However, there's one thing that you've got to remember. There's always an idea behind defending. So if you can actually repel your opponent's attack and then continue with your own. Knight b3 takes, a takes b3. Can anybody tell me though, why a takes b3 and not c takes b3? Oh yes, because you want to take towards the center. You're trying to go this way. Now, it's probably like some sort of a propaganda by the chess authors to take towards the center, because that a pawn will never end on d5, I promise you that. So if your coach, who's 2750 for some weird reason, do tell them, you want to take towards the center, you're lying. Why am I lying? Because that a pawn will never reach d5. And it's true, it'll never reach d5. But the concept is correct if it's possible you are trying to take towards the center. Open line defense? Whatever, what do you mean by that? So takes, you want to take towards the center, but take it with a grain of salt. Whoever tells you on any channel, well, I'm taking towards the center, tell them, nah, it's a good move, but I don't believe you. So Brian the Rabbit is saying, I think the real reason to take A takes B3 instead of C takes is that AB doesn't open up check on the diagonal, sort of. So you can actually take CB. However, you are opening up the C file. I know that you're kind of hinting at this check, but checks are overrated. Checks are super overrated. You get checks, poof, whatever, you check me. So if you check me, okay boy, I go king a1 and I'm not checked anymore. So checks are not as problematic as they make it out to be. Checks, who cares? However, this would not give up the C file. It's better to have more pawns near the king. So if you take this way, the main issue is that your king got softened. And the least of the bad ones is to take with the A pawn because it's very hard to get on the A file for the guy. If you take with the C pawn, your king is visibly feeling the draft. And you don't want that. So let me catch up with thy chat. It's also easier to defend only C2 instead of C1 and C2. The C1 point, I don't know what you mean there, Sebastian, but I would love to understand. So AB is easier because now this is still blocked. Yeah, it's not a big deal, it's just a check. However, it's much easier to defend this block of pawns than this block of pawns, because there could be some intrusion on C2. Keep double pieces on the C line, yes. The queen is definitely stationing on h6, so black cannot castle. So for me to decide who's better, I would look at probably three things. One of them, king's safety. White's king is safer. Who has center control? It's kind of even. Black has one pawn in the middle. White has one pawn in the middle. So it's kind of a tie. Who has more pieces developed? Certainly white, as black's rook on h8 will take some time to get out. Anyways, let's continue. So b5. b5 is the move that you wouldn't want to make because it doesn't help you. So now comes the big question, how to improve our situation. Black played b5, but did that really help Lokman Veli develop his attack, or pieces, or any of them? b5 is not too sexy. I'm gonna tell you that much, b5 is not too sexy. Because it threatens b4, but that's not a big threat. He can kick the knight out, yes, Fred Camaro, that's true. However, the question is, should white panic or not? Actually, I've never seen a moment when they say, if you feel this way, push the panic button. If you don't feel good about it, panic. That'll solve your problems. Never have I ever heard that. Maybe by an automated machine, never by a human. So if we shouldn't panic, and we see that B4, what should we do then instead? Palam is saying, I'm in a constant state of panic playing chess. Lol. I mean, not sure that's healthy, but that's my take. Even though I was a nervous player before, not as much anymore. They're basic principles, Benchstone. Basic principles. Never forget about basic principles. See, develop, winning. Okay, so if we say develop is the best thing you can do, how can we do that? How can we develop? In the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy has the words "Don't panic" written on the front in bright pink letters and with caps lock. Yep, you've got to touch M bishop, bishop d3. And this does not only develop, it also connects those two folks on h1 and d1, which is wunderbar. And that's kind of the difference. Is black castled? Is those two rook connected? Nope, they're not. So that's why Jabava is in the driver's seat. So, bishop d3, bishop f5. Bishop f5 is a good move. So let me be less harsh with Mr. Lok van Valley. Bishop f5 is good. Why is bishop f5 good? For the following reasons. You have less space, less coordination. You don't want to keep it that way. So you want to exchange stuff. Bradley Bloom, thank you for the follow. I want to exchange pieces. Now, chess is complicated. Yes, they say chess is not complicated at all. It's easy. Perpetual disappointment. Thank you for the follow. But chess is different for a certain reason. Bishop f5 is played. So black's goal is to exchange. But what is white's goal? Not a great fan. Hello there. What is white trying to achieve? So we have the center. We've got everything developed. So we might want to go all in this time. Find a way to break through. What do we need to break through? To attack the center, I wants to attack, damage black structure, rook e1, angel, hello there. So what do we achieve if we take on f5? Apart from a doubled pawn. There's something there that makes it a decent thing to do. Was this a Ruy Lopez? No, the highest rated opening is the Rapport Jabava. Why is this the highest rated? Well, I'll tell you why. Because the players who invented the system had 2760 and 2734 at their highest. And boom! That's the highest rated opening ever. The Rapport Jabava. I'm gonna see some certain Norwegian even try it out. So if you stick around, you might see that game as well. Okay, so let's come up with ideas. Let's come up with ideas. So the king is in the middle. How can we use that fact? Simon Teller says takes rook e1. Good point. So what does bishop f5 achieve? What does bishop takes f5 enable? Can you explain that, Simon Teller? That rook e1 does not. Because I think you're onto something, and that's very important. Bring in the rooks. Bring in the rooks. It's not the move, I'm just saying bring in the rooks. So bishop f5 is in fact a better move. But why is it better than playing rook e1 now? So e6 would be impossible? Could be. Bonjour, Easter. Breaks the pawn structure, yes. But one thing, and that's the one of those most important things. Which one of white's pieces is sidelined? So if you push the pawns, that doesn't really help your pieces. Not at all. Not at all. But chat is getting it. You should be getting it too. What is this opening? Neil Deal at Zarapor Jabava. So we're just trying to figure out why taking is better than playing rook e1 immediately. The queen is sidelined. So that is why taking is such a great move by Jabava. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow. Neva. And in fact, I saw the chat. Whatever, what clever. Thank you for following. Let me see. I saw someone answering that question. Where are thou? Where are you? The queen gets into play. Yes, Simon Teller. Exactly. And that's the whole point. So if you go here, you do put pressure on e7. However, after the exchange, your queen is still sidelined and it's staring into nothingness. Remember, queen g7, there's rook g8, and the queen has to move, and that's nothing good. But after bishop takes f5, gf, the queen suddenly has pressure on f6 and some pressure on the queen. So after rook h e1, there's way more pressure now than it was if the bishop was still on d3 and the pawn still on g6. So here, Loek van Velde played rook g8, and at the last moment, when Van Velde thought that, oh, I might get into the game, He wasn't in the game anymore. White to move and win. One of the things that I enjoy mostly, the one who will give me the full line is the one getting the credit. One moves never work. Not in chess, not in math, not anywhere. Really, that's the truth. Like if in a math problem you write down, hey, the answer is 55, they're going to say you failed. And in fact, the more I think about it, when they say the meaning of life is 42, I think that's false. You would fail the test because even when you're grading, you're graded in math, they'd say, hey, you failed. You failed. You didn't provide details. Details, details, details. Ooh, let's see who was first. And British Boy, Enigma, Angel, and Rage Boy with the answer. Rage Boy, boom, baby. So the point is the following. If you take on d5, queen takes d6, and probably you guys didn't even answer this part of the question, so boo! You really have to go down and answer all of those questions. Now I understand you're drinking coffee with milk or a banana without leaves. I don't know what you're doing. But the point is, when you don't have the space bar next to you, and I'm not staring at you, you, and you, and you, but you. So whenever you don't have the coffee next to you and the space bar, I'll tell you how I calculate. So I also, even though I'm a human, at least nobody claimed that I'm a bot yet, I'd say, hey, knight takes d5 looks interesting. Here, pressure this direction. So if you want to get full grades, this is how you do it. This is how you sonic. So knight takes d5. If you take on d5, I calculate queen f6. You can't take the lady because you're pinned, and if they would dare touch that lady, I'll tell them, yo, talk with the arbiter, I'm not part of this conversation. And I get it. But what about knight d5? So you do have to check, oh, what the heck is knight e4? Delete this. Knight d5, queen d6. So this is the second thing that you've got to look at when you want to solve a puzzle. You've got to give all of the solutions, not just half of the solution. Again, math problems. You solve the problem and then you check it. You do have to double check. So Enigma, I do get it. You're saying that's obvious, but it is not. Because this is an easy puzzle. Of course, this is, although Jabawa did find it in a game, so it's still full credit to him. So for you to get better as a player, not as a human, as a player, you have to double check solutions. Actually, knight e4 is not that bad. You're correct, Igloo Kid. Because it's tricky. Can't take the knight because the queen is attacked. However, this queen takes d6, knight takes d6, and the knight d7, winning both of those rooks. But if you have bad visual memory, then you can play blindfolded. Because you don't really have to see the board. Maybe that's kind of defeating the... You definitely have a point there, perpetual disappointment. Yeah, definitely have a problem there. You know. And there's one other thing that I failed to mention to you guys. So, there's some people who calculate, like I do. I actually do the math way of checking how I can win this and win that. There are other people who use their hands, and that's called intuition. There's a famous grandmaster called Smyslov. If anybody can tell me who Smyslov is, I will be happy. No. People who remember games, everybody remembers it to a point. But after a while, there'll be moments where you have to think for yourself. But other people have good hands. And they say, yo, that champion has great hands. Not hands. Hands is a different guy. So, good hands. Good feel for the game. Earth Goddess, thank you for the follow. So what they said about Smyslov, he has good hands. And it's not like it was pretty. Probably it was, I don't know. I really didn't live in that times. So this is the Rapport Jabava Vidipko. In fact, there's one of my earlier lectures about this opening, famously invented by two top super GMs. So knight d5, some people don't calculate. They go by intuition. Now they would fail any sort of math tests. So people who love math don't like these people. But Smyslov, and I would even venture to say the Norwegian grandmasters, yes, Magnus Carlsen. So they have a good feel to it. And that's what makes intuitive chess interesting. So they don't calculate, they kind of feel what's the right move. But I'm gonna ask you guys this question because I'm curious. Do you believe intuition works? And that's an important question. Daxipu is saying, good hands has always meant good feel and touch, at least in my world. Yeah, exactly. Kane, you can, and feel free to give your argument. If rook g6 is played, then there's knight takes f6 check. This is actually a very good move. Because if rook takes e7, there's this counter sacrifice. And if you take, then rook takes here, and it's not that simple anymore. Even though white probably is still better after taking. But the main issue is knight takes f6, queen takes, queen d2, and that pawn is defended. Kate is saying depends on the position, right? I don't know, you know it. In such concrete positions, I don't believe you play knight d5 and win by intuition. Now, intuition is a tricky thing, especially in chess, because chess is an objective game. So if you look at this position, and I'd say knight takes d5, how can you tell if I calculated it or if it was my first thought? Earth God is saying, thinking by intuition is more efficient when it's correct, but harder to identify errors when incorrect. Close, yeah. Intuition is only the result of endless practice and experience. No problem at all. Not sure, not quite sure about that one. Because if you show this position to any human or anybody or a cat, I don't care, it could be a cat, if the cat puts the knight on d5, it is still the best move. Do we know if the cat was conscious when he came up with that idea? I don't know. But did the cat play the best move? Yes, he did. Also, you guys believe in intuition. That's great. Well, I'm not sure about pattern recognition there, no problem at all. What if the cat played knight takes d5? Do you think the cat had a pattern recognition, saw the owner play knight takes d5 too many times and said, oh, this is the move? No, the cat happened to find the move. And this is the other thing that I kind of realized about intuition or playing by hand. Whenever you make a move by hand, normally you've got a 50% chance of being right. There's a 50% chance it's brilliant and a 50% chance it's just a bad move. Now, it could be based on past memory, and that often happens at humans and for humans, that I have the past memory of using this pin. And that actually helps me find that move. Cat plays a good move, it's luck. But it's also an entity. So why are you hating on cats there? No problem at all. Not that I have any problems with that, but it's also just an existing entity, a being just like you and me. So a cat finding knight takes d5 is just the same value as a human finding knight takes d5. Just an objective game, it doesn't really matter what or who finds it. Is it a bot or not a bot? Yeah, it is kind of like that, Angel. As Angel is saying, it's like Leela Chess and Stockfish, they just happen to find the best moves. And what if the cat keeps finding similar moves? It's intuition, man. It's intuition. Yep, Rocky Mountain. We were just talking about Vasily Smyslov was the world champion 57-58. His nickname was the Hand. No, you're correct. Known for many things, including endgames. Yep. And he was also a singer. That's correct. Must be a Schrodinger's cat. Right. It's not necessarily just luck, but it could be. Thank you for the follow, Mariben. So that's why I asked for more moves, because when you say knight takes d5 is the move, there's a 50-50% chance that you're guessing or that you just gave me an idea that is the idea. Hey, Brage Boy, thank you for following. So the only way a human can identify that you're not just talking is that you give me some extra moves. Beyond the Mind, thank you for the follow. You were wondering if there was an issue? Lucra, there's no issue there. Beyond the Mind is saying, yes, even in an exam, if you got a question, something that you are not sure with, most of the times the first guess is the right. Most of the times, maybe intuition, I guess. Well, yes, or maybe not. So knight takes d5, queen takes d5, queen f6, e6. But again, one more thing and we will move on to the next game. So knight takes d5, you could guess it, but then you have to prove it. So a cat could guess knight takes d5, and really the crux would be asking the cat, so Susie, how did you find knight takes d5? And if the cat rattles out 50 moves, then you can be sure that your cat is a grandmaster. But if your cat just stares you blindly and says meow, probably she wants milk. Or coffee, which one you feed your cat, I don't know. I don't have cats. Why would you ask me? So, knight d5, queen f6. You don't allow e takes f6 because the arbiter is gonna get angry with Look 1 Valley. E6, Rook D2. Again, a very strong move. And this is actually kind of those big moments. You'd say that Rook D2, no, Rook D2 is not the best move. Well, maybe not for a computer, but because the computer is heartless. They would have a myriad of calculations saying there's a better move. But Rook D2 is great because it's defend the G2 and C2 weaknesses and saying, yo, I'm up an extra pawn. What do you want from me? I'm just having a great time. Benchstone is saying it becomes objective as soon as you play it. No. I mean, if you can't prove it, well, I mean, it could be the objective truth, but you have to prove the objective truth, if that makes any sense. Anyways, you can get Fate, Rook E5, D5. You're up a pawn, but as Ivan Sokolov would say, just because you're winning doesn't mean you don't want to checkmate your opponent. That's a great one. I love that quote, Blokra. Objective truth is relative to OTB. Yes, exactly. Because we don't know how good it is until we check it. Here, check, D takes E6. And now, coming in, and Look 1 Valley said, yo, I had enough. You won. Rapport Jobava. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant stuff. You don't think a computer would say something else. Alright, we're gonna test that. We are going to test that, people. But first, I want to see your ideas. Will the computer play Rook D2? So no problem at all is saying, I'm waiting for the moment when someone creates an engine that makes moves like a human would do. It'll be great. No, it wouldn't. Because I don't understand this kind of obsession of trying to ruin the fun for humans. Like, why is that such a great thing? Also, if Queen C8, and there's E7 check, takes here, go here, boom, 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 Rook D8, takes, checkmate. That's kind of a problem. Hello, Ives is even sma. Yeah, the computer would agree. Alright, people. Alright, let's see. Will we get Rook D2? Rook D2 tied. G4. Whoa, Rook D2 ties back. G4 is in the lead. Wow, after lots of thinking, Rook D2 took back the lead. But for a moment, G4 was ahead. So it does acknowledge Rook D2. Okay, I'll give you guys credit for that one. However, it was kind of in between Rook D2 and G4. And that's a great point by Plukra. Why would you play G4 when you're winning without risk, though? Good point. That is the big point in chess that they say. And you'd ask a computer, and I'll give you the answer of the computer. Why would you play G4? More pawns? What do you mean, more pawns, Mr. Computer? Or unidentified gendered computer? More pawns? More pawns? I like more pawns. And humans would say this. Look, I agree with Blokra. Why would I go g4 when I can go rook d2 and just defend my folks? In fact, it's funny, it says 3.7 and it said 3.8 for white with g4 at some moment. So it said 3.8, and according to that moment, the computer would play g4 and said, yo, it's the strongest move. And the explanation is the following if you don't understand statistic lingo. 3.8 means you've got 3 pawn edge and 0.7 pawn. Now, if you would ask me what 0.7 pawn is, I'm gonna tell you 0.7 pawn. What is not to understand with having a 0.7 pawn advantage? Should be obvious. Duh. I never got the 0.7 pawn advantage on the chessboard, mind you. So I don't know what exactly that means. Now, I've got positions that were 0.7, but I don't know what it means. I know it's a better position, but that's again an abstraction, Angel. There's no such a thing as 0.7 part of a pawn. There's no such a thing. Doesn't make any sense. Humans can only see it on the chessboard. It's not explained on the board. But it's an abstraction what you're saying, Angel. That's an abstraction. Because it doesn't give you what I give you. When I say rook d2, I say rook d2 because I defend the pawns. I'm up a pawn. I don't want to blow it. If you play g4, it says this is the best move, and it is 0.7 better than the other one. Slightly winning. Yep, that's hilarious. Whatever what Clever is saying, computer solutions can be almost impossible to execute if they requires a host of extremely clever follow-up moves. Yeah, I mean, rook d2 is a typical human move. You're not trying to risk anything, and then you're just going to win. But all right, so let's show some family affair, because Rapport and his wife has already played this system. So let's take a look against Chi Yu. This game is between Giovanna Rapport and Chi Yu Zhao. d4, knight c3, bishop f4. So this is the Rapport-Jabava system. This is the Rapport-Jabava. And this has been very popular lately. In fact, we're going to see this game. Yes, exactly, the Rapport-Jabava. So, bishop f4. And the point is the following. You're playing the Chigorin reversed. And the reason I think that this became so popular, or became something that both of them loved playing, Chessakram, thank you for following, is because both Rapport and Jabava liked these offbeat systems. Especially Rapport loved playing the Chigorin. And what is better than Chigorin up a tempo? e6, knight b5, knight a6, and funnily enough, this knight b5, bishop f4 can be very powerful. So if black is not paying too much attention, pop, you can't ever defend it with knight a6 anymore, and you're just losing. So you can lose this game in 5 moves if you're not careful. But Chi Yu is a better player than that, plays e6, knight b5. Now here I've been propagating a3, and probably in the near future, I'm going to show how to play this. Not today, but I do mention it here as a side note. a3 is very interesting. Knight b5. The whole point is to misplace this knight on a6. e3, bishop e7, knight f3. So if you look at this position, what are the benefits for white and black? Thank you for dropping by, whatever, clever. See ya. See ya next time. So, whenever you try to evaluate the position, you've got to check the center. And it's kind of even there. So if it's even in the center, the last thing that you really want to do is to take a look on the sides. And on the sides, black was forced to play knight a6, which makes her position kind of annoying. Why? Because this knight is bad. And once Giovanna gets the knight on e5, she's going to have a good position. So castles, knight e5. Again, activating the knight, which is happy quite there on the e5 square because it is supported by the charger pawn. Ohas is saying white is preferable here as few pieces are out and black's ones are misplaced and the other ones are locked in. Yeah, this bishop again is somewhat passive there, and that is kind of the issue. Knight d7, knight d3. Now, knight d3 is a fun little move by white. Why? Because black is striving for exchanges, and white is deciding, hey, in this position, I have much better pieces on the board, so I don't want to exchange them. Knight d3, c5, c3. So compared to different openings, this is kind of an upgrade. Usually you have a knight on b1 and a knight on c6, which would be in favor of black. However, in this case, this knight is pretty good, having some threats, while this knight on a6 is terrible. It's kind of out of moves. The best move might be just to go back. It can't work at the moment though, because there's knight c7 and you lose the rook. So at the moment, Chiyu is sort of stuck. A little harsh. Bishop g5. So she's trying to exchange off this bishop. Bishop e2, takes. And with white having more pressure on the center and better pieces, she is slightly better. So wasn't c6 better? Could be, but it doesn't really make any difference because this knight on a6 is still bad. I think there's this idea of knight d6 now. And if takes, then this knight is still sad, while after you take, white will get the bishop pair. So bishop g5, takes, knight c7, a4. And this is kind of that typical way of playing. You're trying to play against black's terrible pieces. And that's important. Why? Because if this bishop gets exchanged, then black is very close to be even. However, not quite yet. So we keep that bishop on c8. Let's continue. a6, knight takes, queen takes c7, castle, b6, bishop d3. So let's stop right here and come up with ideas. What should white play for in this position? So we made 15 moves. This is totally original Rapport Jabava position. We've got to come up with a plan. Probably are better because our pieces on f4 and d3 is just well placed compared to black's pieces on c8 and d7. But without a plan, what can we do? Queen h5 is an idea. What else? Hello, Crusoe. Okay, so let's see. Break in the center or attack? Never resign. Always checkmate and resign after. Never resign. So it's white to move, people. White to move. So I did see ideas of going queen h5, but that's not the only thing. And thank you, syntax error, for answering that question appropriately. So you can go and try to attack and go in that direction, or go rook c1 and c4, breaking it open as the queen is a little bit misplaced. Probably she decided not to go for that because oftentimes after cd, this knight will be unfortunately placed. So she decided to go knight h5. Now queen h5 also makes sense. Probably she didn't like the fact that there's knight f6 and queen h4, and eventually maybe even knight e4 or e5. After this one, black is solid as there's not enough pressure on the h-pawn. So she played knight h5. Can anybody tell me what's the point of knight h5? And then we'll continue. And it'll actually turn into more of a positional game by Giovanna Rapport. Hello there, Z Nation. What is up? Yep. Queen g4 is incoming, putting pressure on the g7 pawn. So more often than not, once black gets knight f6, the h7 pawn is well defended. So Giovanna goes for this play and queen g4, trying to put pressure on the king. But seeing that, Chiu played f5. She definitely did not want to go king h8 because then there could be big attacks on those pawns with knight, bishop, and the queen. Knight h5, f5, that's a very nice move. Just taking away that square and preparing knight f6. However, the main problems are still kind of this bishop on b7. So strategical perspective, black is still struggling. No sacrifices are available. All of them would be captured by the king. Queen f3, knight f6, queen g3. White is going for the endgame, and she is striving to get a good bishop or good knight versus bad bishop endgame. Knight takes g3. Alright, again, let's stop over here and create plans. And I know not everyone's too happy about plans, but here in a close positions, plans are the king, and they're the most important part of this position. So we did manage to exchange off the queens, but by in itself, that's not enough. Yes, black has a bad bishop on b7 and a weak pawn on e6, but you've got to get close to those guys to actually enjoy an advantage. What maneuvers come to mind? So whenever you're trying to think strategically, so doing more of a positional rush, you've got to first find out where are those weak squares at. e5 is one of those important outposts, correct, Crusoe? What else? There's something else that works. Plukra is saying we still need some open files somewhere. I would attack e6 with knight e2, knight f4 and try to open it up. a5 is an idea, try to soften the structure, but that's not answering the question. So just like as you do and try to remember things, you've got to box up your ideas. First, you look at outposts that you can get. So first you think, okay, these are the outposts, how can I get there? This is one way to get there. e5, that's a trickier one. So we still need a way to get there. And on the second turn, we might think that concretely, we could try to undermine Chiyu's structure. We get it, Arsen Arsakyan. Knight e2, knight f4 is a possibility, yes. You did. But it's always celebrating ideas. So knight e2, knight f4 is great, but how can we get to e5? Well, if you go for c4, you do create a target on e6, but that's not the only thing. I mean, we're not aiming to get there, really. We're actually aiming to get on e5. So knight e2, knight f4 is great, but we want to get to that e5 square. How can we slalom our way to e5? Yep, move the bishop away. So you can go knight e2, knight f4, move the bishop away, and then get knight d3, knight e5. And if you guys would remember the Magnus Carlsen, Jeffrey Jean game, you would know the third option. I mean, second option. That's not really the third option. But I'm not gonna walk just yet. We're gonna come there later. Yeah, that's maybe the second, and there's a third one, but we'll talk about it a bit later. Anyways, g6, knight e2, she's going to f4, hitting that e6 pawn, just as Arsen Arsakyan pointed out, among many others. Anyways, knight e2 is heading towards that. h4, typical move, trying to bolster that knight on f4 so there's no g5. Kaishah, thank you for the follow. Cruzo, that's not nice. King g7, knight f4, putting pressure there. Rook d8, bishop c2, and slowly but surely, the knight is getting to e5. And again, still, black is struggling with that bishop on b7. Knight d7, rook d1, bishop c6, rook e1. So, white didn't go a5, b5, d takes, knight takes c5, because then black would eventually be able to start rolling with those guys with e5, d4. Rook e1, king f6, f3, and now comes this e4 break. Not yet, but it's kind of signaling that it is possible. e5, de, knight takes e5. Now, even though Chiu managed to play e5, this will have consequences. Anybody tell me what will be the positive and negative consequences of e5? So it allows knight c4 just to press on e3 and b2. But that's not the only thing. It has a downside too. It has a downside. The d5 pawn, exactly. So now Ivana has a clear target in sight, and she's going to use that with full effect. b3. So this is kind of the thing, Arsenar Sakyan. If you go bishop b3, you didn't really stop knight c4. So what she does first is to play b3, take away that square, and double up. So she's kind of restricting her opponent's play. And she goes for a free advantage. If you play bishop b3, you allow counterplay. And probably that's the thing that she was trying to avoid. d2, rook e2, rook d2. Everyone's doubling. There's pressure there. b5, a5. a5 is a very nice move by Giovanna Rapport. Why? Because the a6 and c5 pawns can potentially become targets in the long run, as we shall see. Bishop b7, king f2, bishop b1. Bishop is slaloming towards a2 to put pressure on d5. Bishop a2, b4. Look at that. She's starting to control all of those important dark squares. And there's just too much pressure on d5. Knight c4, rook e2, bishop c6, knight d3. The knight, as you can see, is slaloming from f4 to d3 to c5, where it will hit the a6 pawn, which is very annoying. CB, CB, and we actually got the position that they're trying to achieve in general, getting the good knight versus the terrible bishop type of opening. Rook d6, knight c5, got to defend that pawn. Rook d4. There's this weak d5 pawn, which is kind of struggling. Hello, Mayar Wizard. King f6, rook e1, and she's probably trying to double up. And then take on c4 at the right moment, going for the endgame. Knight e5, rook d1, targeting the d5 pawn. Feels Zutzwangi? Yeah, kind of. There. e4 is threatened slowly because these rooks are undefended. King e7, Chiyu goes and defends it. Rook f4, but there's no reason to rush. So white is kind of waiting around a little bit. She's having a great position, so that's why she doesn't go h6. Pushes h5, h6. T-Darky, she's kind of waiting because black is out of plans. Takes, rook d4. f6, g4. Slowly, she's gaining some extra space, and as if she gets that in, she's going to win on both sides. She's winning in the center. She has just too much pressure on the d-pawn, but she's trying to open up a second front. Rook takes g4, keeping this pawn chained together. Rook d4, e4, and now she thinks it's ready to roll. You can't ever take because there's rook takes d6. King e5, king e3. Again, you can't take because f4 check, and then your king has to move, and then you don't have enough defenders. Takes, and you're losing the rook. King e6, f4, and basically, if you've seen at Zutzwang, this is it. Black cannot move. So this is a very, very nice game by Giovanna Rapport because she just put her opponent in a big Zutzwang. It's very hard to move now. Rook d8, king f3, king g4, bishop c6, king g5. So she just walks all the way to the other side, going full Pac-Man. And objectively, this position is already very bad for black. Rook e1, he takes here. Can't really take. This runs into a beautiful, beautiful finish. Let's try to find it. This one's a pretty one. Yep, rook takes, rook e5, and you're pinned, and your king is also cut off, so you can't go king e6, and after that, rook takes d5 is going to win. Hop. King g7 was played instead, rook d1, but now it's over. She still needs to be careful not to blunder mate. There, f7 check, bishop b1, and after this, there's too many guys are in there. Bishop e6, there, rook e4. You can't take here because rook f4 check, and then d takes e6 wins the rook. Yeah, bishop b1 is nice. Here, rook e4, king f6, rook g4, and here Chiu resigned because either this rook going to get trapped or the rook just gets on the 7th rank, and there's big, big problems there. Hello, Lulu. Thank you for following. So, this was a very nice positional win by Giovanna Rapport, but there's some certain grandmaster we hadn't talked about, and that's Magnus Carlsen picking it up. It is going to be in the studies, my R Wizard, yes. So d4, knight c3, bishop f4. And it shows up. So this game is between Carlsen and Zhang. e6. And here I kind of played this a3 line, which is something that I do. You've seen Rapport play knight b5 and attack that pawn in her game on a Rapport. But here Carlsen goes for e3, bishop b4, knight e2, a3, bishop e7. And next move is a wonderful one. So I'm going to leave you a little bit to find this move. So it's Carlsen to move and play. This one is a cool one. This is called the Rapport Jabava. Lulu. Be back. Try to find it. Yep, this was a recent game, Plukra. The big move is knight g1, which might just be qualified as interesting. However, knight g1 is a brilliant move for one certain reason. So Rapport could have played this. Joanna Rapport could have played this knight g1, knight f3, knight e5 idea in the previous game. And that would have been a bit more normal, because we're used to seeing this maneuver in endgames. Now, seeing this in a middle game, it is somewhat different. Indeed, Plokra, it was knight g1. Why did he play that? The reason he played knight g1, because this knight is not functioning too much. So if we scoot back with a few moves, knight e2, the point was if Jeffrey takes on c3, he could take with the knight, and he gets the bishop pair in this Rapport Jobava position. However, after bishop e7, this knight is dumb on e2, it doesn't really do anything. So it just makes a lot of sense to actually move it to a better square. So he goes knight g1, heading towards e5. c5, knight f3, knight h5. Now knight h5 is not a great move. Can anybody tell me what's wrong with knight h5? Hello chess lover, how's it going? It was a clutch chess, Klukra. So whenever you're looking at a move, always look if it fits chess principles. Does knight h5 make any sense based on chess principles? It's undefended and it's also on the edge of the board. Exactly. That is the problem. So knight h5 is not that great because of that. Jeffrey does want to take the bishop, but it wastes also time. Now bishop g3 is a move that you can make, but that's kind of admitting defeat. And Carlsen, as we all know, never admits defeat. So it goes d takes c5, saying, yes, you can take my bishop, but you have to waste time with that move. So if you go bishop g3, the problem is that black can take you anytime they'd like to. Usually you don't want that to happen. So dc, knight f4, ef, bishop d3. And the big question is, what happens if black goes knight c6? In fact, something very, very tricky is about to happen if knight c6 is played. Classic. Bishop takes h7, takes knight g5 check. King g8, queen h5, and hello, checkmate. In fact, here is a beautiful, beautiful mate. Anybody spot the mate? White to move and checkmate. Again, just a reminder, if you knew, whenever you're trying to solve a puzzle, you can't just say, yeah, number 55 is the answer. Number 55 doesn't really tell me that you see it all. It only tells me that you know the number. Yep, so takes, here, check, here. It's important to take on f7, check, here, check, and knight b5, checkmate. It was very important to take the f7 pawn because now the queen is very active. Yep, that is the reason you've got to take there. Mate in 1 is better? No, this is way cooler mate. This mate is the coolest. It's kind of a smothered mate on the middle of the board. Nothing is quite like that. So Jeffrey, seeing that, played g6. But Mr. Carlsen is actually ready to pounce. He senses blood and goes for it. Channel your inner Carlsen. Indeed. So knight g5 is an idea, but the problem is takes is not, apart from a check, I can always go king g7 and there's nothing going on. So therefore you need to create a battering ram and go attack. So it goes h4, goes for h5 ideas, trying to open it up. You don't have the dark squared bishop, but you don't really need it. Only thing you need is a queen on h7. h5, queen f6. So seemingly everything is doing fine. However, that's not quite the truth. Not quite the truth. And probably this was the moment that Carlsen realized, okay, I have an attack, but what about the chess principles? And following the chess principles, he did what? What is the chess principles you always have to do? And that's usually the second step in any opening. That is castling. Queen d2. You've got to defend the f4 pawn. That's very important. Queen d2. Now Jeffrey is vigilant. He goes for e5, realizes that Carlsen's king is still in the middle. So definitely needs to hit the iron while it's hot. So he goes for e5, knight d5, bishop c4, b5, bishop a2, ef, long castles. And not only did Carlsen castle, he's already having an h4, h5 raging attack on the board, which makes it pretty good. b4, h takes. We don't care about this side of the action. We're going for a different direction. H takes, and now it's time for us to break through. Let's try to find out a way to break through. So moves by in itself don't do much. You've got to go for plans. Lulu, chess lover, that's kind of the thing. You've got to look for long-term ideas and not just abstract thoughts. So if you say rook h6 is scary, yes it is, but you've got to explain your plans. That's how you get better. Ashiaku, thank you for following. So whenever you mention knight f4, black will take on d2, and I don't see you checkmating anybody anytime soon. Again, be reasonable. It's not just that you have a plan and black is just going to say, oh, you really want to checkmate me? So here, played knight g5. Kind of a mysterious move. It's not as direct and cavemanish, pardon me, with rook h6, rook h1. Knight g5, that's a little bit different. What is knight g5 planning? Yeah, at the moment you can't really go that way, Lulu, because the queen is defending that g6 pawn. It's a nice trick, but it just doesn't work. So I wonder why Carlsen played knight g5? Where's that knight going? Which square is the goal? Not saying that rook h6 is necessarily bad, just saying that knight g5 is also interesting, especially if Magnus plays it. So what is the square that Carlsen is looking for? Or which square is Carlsen looking for? Hello, Mecalier. So what square? So when we look at this position, Scott Yamato, thank you for the follow. Can any of you imagine a checkmate pattern? Let's talk checkmating patterns. Can anybody tell me what would be the ideal checkmate in this position? Yep. And for that, we need the f6 square. So I was trying for you guys to try to find the f6 square. Bishop f5. So if let's say bishop d7, then there's knight e4, hitting the queen, and then go knight f6. And then dreams do come true. You just have to think about them. And then there comes this idea of knight e4, knight f6, rook h7, checkmate. So no wonder Jeffrey plays bishop f5. But as you guys mentioned, here comes the other route. If it doesn't work this way, through e4, then there's always a second way, and that is knight h7. Attacking the rook and getting the knight to f6. Rook d8, knight f6 check, king f8, and now we need to find the crushing blow for Mr. Magnus Carlsen. Another slalom pony, exactly, T. Darky. Again, let's think about the fact how we could checkmate the guy. Can the king escape? Can the king escape through e8 and e7? Can't escape, correct. So if the king can't escape, if you check, I go back. Check, I go here. So that's a check. Checking is not a bad thing. However, we've got to think about a way to finish it up. Yeah, I mean, those squares are protected, so we don't really have to fear that the king will escape. If you go here, then there's, rook takes h8. So that's not ideal. You don't want to lose your rook. That would be a problem. Rook takes h8 is going to win. Rook h7 check, indeed, rook h1. And here, Jeffrey Zhang resigned. Because let's say queen f6, there's a beautiful finish. What can't you see, Lulu? Okay, so here is your chance. It's mate. It's going to be mate. The mating pattern is coming, Lulu. It's white to move and checkmate. In fact, there are many mating patterns. I'm going to show you both. So knight f6 is one of them, and there's another one. That was kind of the main idea. So what is the other mating pattern? It does start with rook h8, but what is the idea? Right there. This is the one mate. It's pretty cool. Bishop is protecting and knight is holding those squares. Here's another one. And that is check, king g7 and rook h7. Checkmate. This is the other pattern, Lulu, I was trying to pinpoint and show. The queen can take, but then you're down a queen. So on a higher level, that is just losing. It prolongs the game, but black is going to lose. And I'm showing this because this is the trick that Magnus was playing for. Trick, quote unquote, because that was the main idea anyways. Yep. So, I'm going to give you guys this link in a second. Also show you that I think it is already here in the arena. So this system wasn't part of this. So the rapport Jabava wasn't part of the whole database of leeches, but now it is. So here is the rapport Jabava system. And I think this is going to work future. So it's part of the system now. Here, let me go back to, let me go back to the study, my studies, rapport Jabava. I'm going to give you guys the link in the chat. This is the rapport Jabava. So that is this line. If you have missed, this is the main line. Bishop f4. And it is named rapport Jabava because rapport actually put a lot of effort into this opening. And that's why it's kind of a co-production. If you say it Jabava rapport, you can call it Jabava rapport, but it makes a lot of sense. Call it rapport Jabava or Jabava rapport, whichever way you like to say it. Yeah, so this knight g1 idea was very interesting by Carlsen, and it ended up in quite a beautiful game against Jeffrey Zhang. That's not a great idea, but rook h7 is. Take main line, takes check here. Rook h7, and here's the link. Again, if you're interested, to check that one out. All right, so now we're going to do a raid. We're going to do a raid. So, raid channel. Let's raid Mirza. She's having a birthday, so let's give her and wish her well. Yeah, I hope you guys had fun. If you're interested in more of these in the future, in the Discord and Facebook, if you want, do check us out. That should be fun. Hope you guys had a fun time and you learned some about the Rapport Jababa system. With that, I'm out. Take care, guys. Bye bye.